Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Vihari. Hare Krishna, please accept my obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Thank you for the ministry for inviting me to say a few words about reading. Obviously, all you exalted Vaishnavas don't need me to remind you about the importance of reading, but nevertheless, since there has been a request, I will oblige. I'm reminded of a story I heard from His Holiness Mahavishnu Maharaj, the younger English Mahavishnu Maharaj, who told us of an incident during Bhagavatam or after Bhagavatam class, and during the question and answer session, he asked the question. Prabhupada became very upset that he asked the question when the answer was right in the book. And Srila Prabhupada in turn asked Maharaj a question. Maharaj couldn't answer the question. And then Prabhupada spent the next, couple of minutes chastising Maharaj and the devotees for actually not reading his books. And Prabhupada mentioned that when we don't read his books, then we forget. The state of forgetfulness permeates the mind and the consciousness. Bhaya dvitiya abhinveshata syat. Ishat apetasya pipayus smriti, right? When we turn our attention away from Krishna, i.e. reading, keeping association of Krishna through reading, then we turn our attention from him, and then we become forgetful, and the modes of material nature take over, and then we start thinking, I'm this, I'm that. We become forgetful. So then, therefore, it is important for us to keep our spiritual muscles functional and firing on all cylinders, just as we are aware now in ISKCON that all those deep-fried foods are not very good for us, and there's a move towards a much more healthier diet. So in the same way that we take the steps to eat healthily, exercise, do breathing exercises so we can continue with our service, in the same way we keep our mind and our intellect sharp by studying, but particularly studying Srila Prabhupada's books. So Prabhupada, Krishna himself says that in the Gita, that whoever studies these literatures worships him by his intelligence. So actually reading is devotional service. Krishna himself has testified, 1870. And of course, such reading and such devotional service should be unmotivated and uninterrupted. And susukam yatma suprasidati, and then it'll completely satisfy the self. Obviously, there's different levels of interruption, there's different levels of unmotivated, but still, that endeavor still somehow satisfies the soul, the yatma suprasidati. So it is important that we continue to read, we keep our mental, intellectual, and spiritual faculties firing on all cylinders so that we are able to understand things properly. Just as with eating food, it is popular in our ISKCON communities, the understanding that when you eat food, you are also somewhat absorbing, at least somewhat, the consciousness of the person that cooked the food, right? So there is a transference of energy, there's a transference of consciousness from one individual to another individual. So in the same way, the same applies with reading. When we are reading, through our fire of mental digestions, we are able to digest the words of the author. And we know that the words of the author are nothing but the consciousness of the author. So we are also digesting the consciousness of the author in that way. So reading is important. And like I said, the devotees, all you exalted Vaishnavas, don't need me to remind you of the importance of reading. And in conclusion, Srila Prabhupada also In conclusion, the ministers also asked me to speak about what we've been doing since our last conversation, which was last year around the same time. It was quite fun, enlivening, robust. We had our Ji-bi-sis and a few other devotees. So that was nice. I really thoroughly enjoyed the discussion and the debate around that last year. So we continued in the same mood. We've created several reading groups, online reading groups, and those are still going on. And this is not just in Johannesburg, but around the country. There's in Cape Town, Durban. Devotees have several reading groups, from children all the way to our elderly Vaishnavas. And when it comes to children, of course, we follow all the processes, Child Protection Office. We make sure that we protect our children and protect our movement. So we've continued along the same line, creating more groups. And I'm personally involved in a week, 3 to 4 online groups that I'm involved in. And one of them is peers, where we read and share realizations and and argue about things also in a mode of goodness. So it's nice. It's quite enlivening in that sense. But also with the education ministry of South Africa, we've, I think since last year, we've undertaken a process where we've offered quite several TTC courses, 1 through 3, teaching courses, teacher training courses, 1 to 3. And the idea behind it was, to empower the devotees on how to teach and how to share the same information with others. And because now we have quite a lot of graduates, TTC graduates, we've started this TTC graduate program where we are taking these devotees and empowering them to teach in their own local communities, Cape Town, Durban, wherever they are. Then they can teach because they've been empowered, they've read the books, they've been trained on how to share the knowledge that's in the books. So now it's their turn to teach others. So there's a lot going on in South Africa in regards to education. There's a lot. That can be another video. But so there's a lot of movement. There's a lot of enlivened devotees in the country. Obviously, there's still a lot of work to be done. There's still a lot of goals to be reached for Srila Prabhupada. And all glories to the South African devotees, all glories to the education ministry in the country for pushing the reading and studying of Srila Prabhupada's books. And all glories to all the education service providers that are helping us engage the devotees in studying these courses, because we do offer quite a lot of courses, and where we are unable to offer it ourselves as a yatra, we reach out to other institutes, bona fide Gaudiya Vaishnava Institute, ISKCON institutes, to help us with teaching. And so there's some nice progress, and devotees seem to be enlivened by reading Srila Prabhupada's books, and actually not just reading also, but literally engaging with the literature. As we know that reading is one thing, but actually there's different types of reading. There can be passive reading, and there can be reading that's engaging with the material that you have. So that's where we are, and still a lot of work to be done, but still inspiring, still motivational, seeing devotees still enthusiastic, even in this age, to read Srila Prabhupada's books. We are fortunate in South Africa that we are like about 10 years behind the US and the UK. So whatever problems that are there in the UK, even though we have some of them here in South Africa, they're not as fully blossomed as they are in those 2 countries. So we just want to make sure that when we catch up to you, the US, the UK, and other Western countries, that we have the foundation, solid foundations, to help our devotees stay firmly situated in their Krishna consciousness. So again, thank you very much to our leadership here, the Education Ministry, the chairman of our Education Ministry, His Grace Keshav, Achyuta Keshav Prabhu, our regional secretaries across the country. They're playing a vital role in encouraging devotees and helping us spread the message. And also like to thank the National Council, the South African National Council. We've had several meetings with them about this particular issue, about reading Srila Prabhupada's books and what should be done to move it forward. And very fortunate that we have an understanding leadership, as well as our co-G-B-C, His Grace Govardhan Prabhu and His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj, who are very supportive. And by the way, incidentally, Maharaj is arriving today from Durban to Johannesburg, and he'll be here with us for a while. And as we know, Maharaj is a teacher. He's going to continue with teaching. He's already teaching the Bhakti-Vairbhava course. Last year, he did the Bhakti-Shastrы course. And so Maharaj is such an inspiration, such a motivation for me personally, and I'm sure many other devotees, just not only in terms of the reading and the understanding of the Shastras, but also living it and practicing it. So all glories to the South African leadership, and all glories to the Global Education Ministry also for making sure we don't forget. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,